wedu zuva rekugadzwa kwemutungamiri mutsva wenyika yeZimbabwe vanozivikana nokuti ED. Comrade ED Mnangagwa, zvakanaka kuti tose tikoti ED ndo zuva ranhasi riri pano.
Be louder and say ED. Let's hear you. You are lazy people. Why? Zimbabwe, oh yeah! I'm now going to hand over the mic We are proceeding with the program, and I'm now going to hand over the mic. I'm going to hand over the mic to the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Honorable Advocate Jacob Francis Mudenda. Honorable Advocate Jacob Francis Mudenda is the one now who's going to proceed with the program. We understand there are other heads of state still arriving. Can we wait a bit? Can we wait a bit so that the Honorable Speaker of the Republic of Zimbabwe can proceed accordingly? Can we have Macheso again? Macheso!
Zimbabwe, we are coming to you live from the National Sports Stadium. We've just seen the entrance of the President-designate, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, into the stadium through a rousing applause. And it is happening. It has started here at the National Sports Stadium. Shortly, we will be seeing him taking his oath of office here at the National Sports Stadium to become Zimbabwe's second executive president. This is a momentous occasion. It's a big occasion. And just going back in terms of, we're just getting to know him as a person, and we'll be giving you his biography. We're also we're waiting for other aspects here to the program to continue. Following the 1964 Congress in Gweru, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa with three of his colleagues, Shoniwa, Jameson Mudavanu, and Edson Shirihuru, were captured and arrested for smuggling guns into South to Lusaka with some messages, but never saw him again. Now, in spite of this setback, the Crocodile Group remained in operation and was joined by Matthew Maloa, a Zanu-Pf, rather a Zanu member who had trained in Egypt, in addition to smuggling arms into the country. Matthew Maloa, who was a Zanu-Pf member, had smuggled guns into the country. A major task was to recruit supporters from Salisbury, Fort Victoria, Mberengwa, and Macheke, and smuggle them out through the border of Mutoko so that they could go on to Tanzania for training. Now, you will find that there's a huge in terms of reactions from the crowd here. You best know the biggest entertainer right now in Zimbabwe taking a stage. That is Ja Preza and his band for pelting some of the singles from his new album, Kutonga Kwaro, which has become a hit within the nation. And this is something that is increasing the mood here at the National Sports Stadium. And people are totally enjoying themselves here as we await to see the new president of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa.
Of the Republic of Mozambique, His Excellency UC, arrival of the President of the Republic of Mozambique, His Excellency UC. Welcome, Maoko Isanta. Sorry, we are now changed, protocol has changed. We are told is the former President of the Republic of Zambia, former President of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. And also the former President of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Rupiah Banda, they are together. You're confusing. His Excellency, former President of the Republic of Zambia, President Kenneth Kaunda, and President Rupiah Banda, former President of the Republic of Zambia, both of them. We used to say KK, former President of the Republic of Zambia, and former President also of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Rupiah Banda. Zimbabwe, oye! We are also now receiving His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, President Lungu. President Edgar Lungu, President of the Republic of Zambia, is just walking in. Maoko Izanta. Zimbabwe, oye! We welcome the President, we are welcoming the President of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Edgar Lungu. You're welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome indeed. Welcome, Your Excellency. Welcome indeed. Can you make sure you go the correct list, please? You don't want these mistakes.
We are coming to you live from the National Sports Stadium, where we're bringing you the inauguration of the President-designate Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa. We are just seeing the arrival of dignitaries who have just arrived, as you see there. Comrade Edgar Lungu is the Excellency, the President of Zambia. Also, earlier on, we saw the arrival of Comrade Kenneth Kaunda, who is the former President of Zambia. In fact, Zambia's first president. Also, His Excellency Comrade Nyusi of Mozambique, the President of Mozambique, is here. And we expect more arrivals here at the inauguration of the new President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa. And it's a very huge issue, and we're seeing that these heads of states and the excellencies from different countries coming through, and people here in a festive mood, in a mood which is celebratory. We just seen there a bit of a performance from the man of the moment. Jah Praise was singing his song Kutonga Kwaro, and generating a lot of excitement from the people gathered here at the giant national stadium. I must say, by no doubt, am I seeing any open area or any open space here at the National Sports Stadium? And also here is Macheso, who also give us entertainment. Maybe we might find some of his new songs and some of his older songs as well. Or we also have Michael, rather the Mahendere brothers, including Michael Mahendere and his brothers, who are coming through to celebrate with us in this inauguration of the new President of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa. And we go back to Jah Praise, who's back on stage through round of applause from the people here gathered at the giant national stadium.
Celebrations in Zimbabwe. That's happening right now with the inauguration of the president. It's going to happen shortly. But we're asking you a question on Zimbabwe. We'd like to find out from you, what do you see for Zimbabwe into the future? And do you think there might be some change? And you're tweeting us all the time about your thoughts on the issue. Let's take a look at what you're telling me. Lawrence Khapara says, there is far-fetched hope, but the fact that Mnangagwa was Mugabe's handyman, we should expect anything. This one from The Grey. He says, for Zim to recognize its mistakes and learn from them. Now they're going to learn from those mistakes. Yafana says, I hope now that the people of Zimbabwe, they're going to get jobs, better education, etc. Well, let you know, it's the most, probably the nation with the highest education qualification on the continent, so to speak. Well, probably not on the continent, but so far number one. Mahafa Noel says, people will govern, freedom of speech will not be undermined, unemployment will decrease, police brutality will end, and most importantly, Constitution will be respected. Now that is a question, whether or not it is constitutional for the new president to be there. It's another question for another day, one would suggest. This one coming from Mabu says, really? How can I celebrate Mnangagwa, who butchered my relatives during Kugurungahundi? How? How is that possible that I can do that? Well, it's another question. We spoke about that earlier. So keep them coming. We'll read them as we continue. But right now, let me remind you at 1100 hours Central Africa time about your headlines. The Supreme Court of Appeals has extended the Paralympian Oscar Pistorius jail sentence from 6 years to 13 years and 5 months. Thousands are gathering at the National Sports Stadium in Harare for the inauguration of Emmerson Mnangagwa as the Zimbabwean interim president this morning. And the outgoing ANC President Jacob Zuma hosted a working dinner last night with the ANC cadres who have made themselves available for nomination as the president of the ANC at the 54th National Conference next month. Those are some of your headlines, but also remember that the president is currently in Pretoria hosting the Angolan president there. Of course, on that state visit, we'll also bring you an update on that a little bit later. But to talk to us more about Emmerson Mnangagwa and what the future really holds for Zimbabwe, we're still in studio with SABC Channel Africa's Isa Komo. Mr. Komo, once again, when we talk about Zimbabwe and the current situation, now, we were looking at an article that was written about a year ago almost about the fall of Zimbabwe. And I'm going to quote from that particular piece here. The last days of Robert Mugabe, Zimbabwe is engulfed, and not only by a political crisis while its leaders fight. Its economy is in a meltdown. Written by Martin Fletcher on this website. It's called The New Statesman. A year in advance, it looks like this was actually on script. Thoughts on that?
Oh yes, that's where people say that basically what's unfolding here, it is just a sort of, it's a pantomime, which is actually sort of sticking very closely to a script which was long written. This particular article, it was, as you said, it was first published on the 15th of December. 2016. And it actually talked of Mnangagwa taking over. And
because he was interviewed in that.
He was interviewed, yes, he was interviewed. And when you look at it, when you read the whole thing, you find that this was, Mnangagwa was actually in touch with the British, with the business community, with the South Africans, with the Chinese, with the SADC country. Yeah, and he was being portrayed as the new future leader who was going to be business friendly and was going to do things to revive the Zimbabwean economy. Now that is the way that things are actually going. And it actually explains a lot of things in saying that many things, the transgressions with the due process that have taken place, they have not been highlighted by the mainstream media, in inverted commas, yeah, simply because people are going to a target which is actually sort of pre-arranged and pre-agreed, yeah, which is a very important thing. So we would say that where we are going to, it's a thing which has been, as I say, prearranged.
Yes.
And one more point is this, that there was another article in October 2017, this year, where Ibo Mandaza, the fiery academician, Ibo Mandaza, actually sort of blurted out saying that they were trying to recruit him into the TNA, Transitional National Authority. Yeah, and that he was being tried, people were trying to recruit him. On Mnangagwa's side, it was the South African presidency, people in the office of our Minister Khadebe. That there is there in black and white. It's a thing, it's an article in the Guardian of the, I think it's the 29th October 2017.
So this is no longer a conspiracy theory. You said a couple of weeks ago when we spoke about Zimbabwe that there was talks about with Britain in relation to the change in Zimbabwe that is needed.
Yeah, these are the things, these are the conditions that have been put there. The Zimbabweans, they want investment to come in, but one of the things was this, that Mugabe's got to go. And also there are more things to come. Yeah, issues over the land, issues over investment, issues over compensations, and the whole thing will actually sort of unfold as we go along. Then the truth will come out.
Now, as we speak, we can see pictures coming to us live from Zimbabwe at the inauguration of Emmerson Mnangagwa as some of the ministers, it looks like, coming down the track there, and of course waiting for Emmerson Mnangagwa to emerge there. We are trying to figure out who's all coming through there, but you can definitely see that must be some, it looks like Nkama coming through there from Botswana. It's being surrounded by a number of bodyguards. You can't really see places, but
legitimacy and acceptance. Yeah, so that basically to try to appease the diehards and actually try to encourage the Zimbabweans that they should take advantage of this change, to this new regime, to bring change, yeah, to the Zimbabweans, or then to Zimbabwe. Yeah, that thing that is needed. When we talk about the whole process not following the due process of law and the constitution, which is true, but I think there are greater issues. The Zimbabweans need this change so that a new beginning comes in. So I think people are just coming on board. So let's forget about the modality of the change. Let's take advantage of this and take it forward. I think that's the most important thing.
But the question then would be asked, why couldn't they wait for the elections? The conference is taking place in December. They move forward?
They could not wait for the elections because there was, what they say in Sesotho, mfirifiri. You know what to call it. There was a lot of muzziness. Because I mean to say that the person who actually spoiled the whole plan, wanted to spoil the script, it was Grace Mugabe.
Why?
Because I mean to say that from 2016, it was that Mnangagwa was going to take over. And this began before 2016 because it actually began with the removing of Joyce Mujuru from the vice presidency. Yeah? And then Mnangagwa was, the door was open for Mnangagwa. But then all of a sudden he's taken away. And once it's taken away, here comes the lady, the spoiler.
Yes.
So people says, no. Now we've got to act in other ways. That's what happened.
So are you suggesting then it was Grace Mugabe's ambitions to follow in her husband's footsteps that led to his downfall, to his gracious departure?
Yes, it was not only Grace, it was not only Grace's ambition. But I mean to say that it was open that Mnangagwa is actually talking to the British. I think I once mentioned that who's this thing, Atham Tabara told us that Mnangagwa is actually talking to the British, about the life after, Mugabe, that is his presidency, not his life, and about actually normalizing relationship and also trade relationship, and also the British government is interested in actually sort of getting Zimbabwe back into its fold. As I mentioned again, with the Brexit issue, Britain is in a dire state economically. And there's an article which people could go to the media, in the British press, where they're talking about the new British neo-colonial move. Is this that they're actually going and looking at the Anglophone areas and the Commonwealth countries and bringing them closer to Britain in a sort of a neo-colonial economic relationship. That is to give Britain access maybe to raw materials and also to markets after the Brexit thing. Britain, in fact, the thing that actually was talked about in Britain, in the British press, it's not a thing that I'm making up. So the whole thing fits into the Zimbabwean thing. The British are going to become much more active in the internal politics, not only of Zimbabwe, internal politics of South Africa. As I mentioned, that the mere fact that Lord Haynes, actually sort of instituted the investigation into the Guptas. It's not a mistake, doing it from the House of Lords. It is a thing where Britain is showing that they're taking much more interest into the economic happenings in their former colonies and former countries.
So there's much more that one can read behind the scenes.
You've got to. Of
what transpired
the global
in Zimbabwe.
issue, the macro and the micro. People have got to look at that.
Let's now take a look once again at Emmerson Mnangagwa and his rise to the presidency in Zimbabwe.
Years and months. Now, after serving his 10-year sentence, he was further detained at Kami and then Harare prison together with all nationalists like Robert Mugabe, Noskala, and others. So we follow the proceedings here at the National Sports Stadium.
Emmerson Mnangagwa has been Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe's right-hand man most of his political life. He served as vice president from 2014 until his dismissal as vice president on the 6th of November 2017. All the links between Mnangagwa and First Lady Grace Mugabe were contained in the party since 2016. Everything changed after he took ill in August at a Zanu-Pf rally and was airlifted to South Africa for treatment. Following that incident, he and President Mugabe contradicted each other, Mnangagwa saying he was poisoned, Mugabe saying he wasn't. This angered First Lady Grace Mugabe, who publicly called for Mnangagwa's removal.
He actually wanted to wrestle power from the president.
It is Mnangagwa's dismissal from both cabinet and the ruling Zanu-Pf that brought out both the Zimbabwe war veterans and the army out of barracks, guns blazing.
The current purging and cleansing process in Zanu-Pf, which so far is targeting mostly members associated with our liberation history, is a serious cause of concern to us in the defense forces.
From these statements, it would seem President Mugabe had stepped on a landmine of his political career and the battle lines were drawn. Emmerson Mnangagwa was born on 15 September 1942 in Shivashani in central Zimbabwe. He was in primary school when his family was forced to relocate to northern Rhodesia, present-day Zambia, in 1955. In Zambia, he completed his primary school and enrolled for a building course, but he was quickly selected to enter Hodgson Technical College, where he was expelled in 1960 for political activism at the tender age of 18. After being expelled, he went into business briefly, but joined United Independence Movement Party of Zambia, where he was elected to the Youth League. In 1962, Mnangagwa was recruited into the Zimbabwe African People's Union, ZAPU, trained in Tanzania and at the Egyptian Military Academy. When ZAPU members broke away to form the Zimbabwe African National Union, ZANU, in 1963, Mnangagwa joined it, leading to his and other cadres' detention by Egyptian authorities who recognized ZAPU. Robert Mugabe secured their release and they returned to Tanzania. Upon his return in 1964, he and his group formed the now well-known Crocodile Group in Zambia. Mnangagwa and the Crocodile Group fought the liberation war on many fronts, traveling on foot between Salisbury, which is present-day Harare, and Tanzania. They smuggled arms, recruited cadres for training, and mounted roadblocks to terrorize whites. In the process, they deliberately alerted the media to their activities to draw attention from the Organization of African Unity, OAU. In December 2014, he became vice president of Zanu-Pf and Zimbabwe. He continues to command a faction of Zanu-Pf called Lacoste, a more modern version of the Crocodile Group of the 1970s. His run-ins with First Lady Grace Mugabe have resulted in her leading the Generation 40, another faction that wanted Grace to be vice president. From then on, allegations that Mnangagwa wanted to unseat Mugabe came into the open.
The party comes first. First, whatever differences you might have, the party comes first.
2 days later, Mnangagwa was removed from the Justice Ministry in a cabinet reshuffle, and the following weekend, Mnangagwa supporters humiliated the First Lady, causing the cards to tumble.
I think he is also my president. I love my president. I respect my president. I will help him to make this country prosper.
In no time, Mnangagwa had fled, saying he feared for his safety, but vowing to come back to lead Zanu-Pf. Within 48 hours, it was clear who the Zimbabwe armed forces were behind. Zanu-Pf has now made its decision.
Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa is vice president and second secretary of Zanu-Pf, and his expulsion from the party be and is hereby nullified forthwith.
Now President Robert Mugabe has resigned, and Zimbabwe waits for Emmerson Mnangagwa to take over.
Lovely package there, and these are some of the live pictures coming through on your screen right now from the inauguration process, where Emmerson Mnangagwa will be inaugurated as the president of Zimbabwe. Now, Mr. Komu, we are still talking about Emmerson Mnangagwa, but and I don't think we finalized the point earlier when we spoke about it. Do you think that he can bring a change to Zimbabwe? Because we spoke about the party internally at first.
Yeah, well, Zimbabwe, the change, there are two changes that need to take place. Yeah, it's the expectation of the people and also the expectation of the business people. Yeah, I think to bring the change as far as the business sector, the economy is concerned, he can do it, but there's a lot of things that he's got to give in, and that will be very sensitive. Because key to that will be issues like the compensation of the return of the land. Already there are people who lost land who are talking about going back and demanding their land. Yeah. Now the land issue, basically, it's a very sensitive issue. I mean to say that even from Mnangagwa, with all his popularity, these are urbanized people. These are people from the town, from the city, people who are really workers and who have lost their work. They're unemployed. But when it comes to the majority of Zimbabweans who are rural, we do not know how they're taking it up. They may be indifferent, but the minute that they try to come and touch issues of the land, Zimbabwe is going to blow up. And they're the majority of Zimbabweans, 60%. Yeah. So it's got to be very careful and tactful. And again, the issue of democracy, the democratic space, and the implementation of the global political agreement, whether it's going to go with it. I mean to say that's another issue of bringing democracy, into the Zimbabwean governance system, and also the institution which guarantee that democracy. Now that will be another issue. Yes. And I think knowing them or knowing him, they will never give him to that thing, because basically they would like to reduce the democratic space so that come August 2018, they are the major force, the incumbents, and they're going to move ahead with the elections.
Is that your hope for Zimbabwe?
Well, my hope in Zimbabwe is this, that basically they've got to get their house in order and they've got to actually sort of make it a success. Because basically...
and we need them to be successful.
We wish them luck and we wish them to be successful. Yeah.
And that's the question we pose to our viewers as well today. We're asking you, what are your hopes for Zimbabwe? And let's take a look at what you are telling us on the Twitter handle, as well as on the Facebook page. On the Twitter handle, you can let me know during the course of the day. You can participate in the conversation. Let's take a look at some of those comments. This one from Pablo San says, it has to start with the reshuffling of the parliament. Draw up a new constitution that will free all the Zimbabweans. We all know that Mnangagwa has to pick up the pieces to rebuild the Zimbabweans' puzzled country into civil. This one from Michael Big M says, I wish them a speedy recovery.